Again, I wish I did not have to come out here and do another fucking video talking about AOC, but she is such a prominent political figure. The way the public views her, she's the leader of the left movement in this country, tens of millions of people behind her. So the fact that she is so repeatedly and brazenly and openly selling out the left and trying to sheep herd people into accepting neoliberalism and incrementalism, and of course bringing them into the Democratic Party as if that's going to solve anybody's problems. That is newsworthy. And then the fact that most people in left new media don't want to touch it. Of course, the corporate media isn't going to criticize it in this way. So they're out of the equation. And then so many people in left new media also, for whatever reasons, they don't want to offend their audience, or they may be personally invested in these politicians or have personal connections to these politicians or people in their office, or they want to access whatever it is. There are a lot of reasons why people in left new media, especially the most prominent hosts, are avoiding criticizing these Justice Democrats and criticizing AOC as critically as I am, and like people like Jimmy Dore, Jackson Hinkle, Fee and Pasta at the Carnival Couch, Nico House, all of us, Misty and Jesse at Facts on the Ground. There's clearly they're trying to avoid these criticisms or speaking the truth about AOC, and it puts us in this position where we're all tired of talking about AOC, but if nobody else does it, and then we stop doing it, or we miss important and telling stories like this one, then the millions of leftists who are well-intentioned and might mean well and are still blindly following AOC, they're never going to get the memo, and they're just going to she's doing what Obama did back in 2008, which is to placating the left and, like I said, sheepdogging them, sheepherding them into the Democratic Party and accepting neoliberalism and incrementalism as if that's all we can do. And that is extremely detrimental given the state of emergency that we're in here in the United States, COVID out of control, worst economic crisis in history. We need bold systemic change, and the only way that's going to come about is through direct action. So there needs to be more of an awakening on the left, similar to how people woke up to Barack Obama. And we need to have that awakening about AOC and the rest of these Justice Democrats. And just this idea that we're going to somehow get Medicare for all, or universal basic income, monthly recurring checks, or rent and mortgage cancellation. We're going to get those policies through electoral politics. There needs to be an awakening that just isn't going to happen. And so in order to get to that place, in order to get to the place where we're organizing direct action and public pressure campaigns and making sure business as usual can't continue until our demands are met by politicians who are supposed to be serving us, until the only way we can get to that place is if people understand how AOC and the rest of these, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, the rest of them, they're all charlatans and they're all frauds who are using the rhetoric of the left, of the populist left. But in reality, like I said, they're just pushing neoliberalism and incrementalism, but with more flowery rhetoric. So this right here, I would say this is the nail in the coffin, but that coffin has been nailed so many goddamn times, so many goddamn ways that, I mean, it's just redundant to say it again at this point. But another incredibly defining story, because as you all know, I've talked about all the time here, the Justice Democrats, the whole purpose of them was to do a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. I supported it at the time because I thought that was the best way, along with electing Bernie Sanders as president. I thought that was the best way, the quickest way to get left policies in this country. But what has happened since is all of them have been co-opted by the Democratic Party. They've all become part of the Democratic machine. They're all part of the Democratic establishment. And they will not buck Democratic leadership, the corporate Democrats, anytime it counts. It's clear where they stand. They will not cross the leadership of the Democratic Party. And when it matters most, they will always side with the establishment. But now we're getting, the story came out in Politico that AOC is taking the money that grassroots, the grassroots activists, people, regular people, working class people who are fed up with the corruption in the Democratic Party and these corrupt politicians who take corporate money. So they, on purpose, went out of their way to donate to people who were running against the corruption, like AOC, running against corporate PAC money in politics and the corporate influence in politics. They went out of their way to support a candidate like that, gave their hard-earned money to candidates like AOC, and then this Political article comes out and says, AOC just gave $160,000 that she raised from you all in my audience, pretending to be this anti-establishment, revolutionary leftist, populist leftist, bringing about the working class revolution to address this wealth inequality in this country. After she sold you all on that rhetoric and got you all to donate to her, she then took your money, $160,000 of it, just in the first quarter. I'm assuming she's going to keep doing this until the midterms. Took $160,000 and gave it to corporate Democrats who might have a hard time winning re-election in the House. She took your money, the money from the movement, the anti-establishment movement, and she gave it to the establishment. So what are we still talking about here? What are we still talking about here? If you still are going to defend AOC on this, I have very little respect for you, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, oh, we have a disagreement. If you are still defending her on that, after all the other ways that she's made it clear that she's willing to fuck us over and lie to us for the establishment, if you're going to defend her on that and you did mental gymnastics to defend her and all the other shit, I have almost no respect for you. Almost no respect for you. Because she's showing you who she is. That she's not on your side, and still you're so desperate to cling to the hope that these politicians are looking out for us, that even though time and time again she shows you who she is, you will not believe her, and you'll do mental gymnastics to defend her at all costs from the people like myself who are leveling these accurate and fair criticisms of these shitty politicians. So I'm gonna get into that, but first, you already know the deal. If you all can contribute to the show, I have links to Patreon in the About page of the YouTube channel. I don't post Patreon exclusive content because I think everybody should have access to the content, regardless if you can pay for it or not. So it's just a way for you to sign up and give $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month to the show and not even really have to think about it. Also, if you feel more comfortable doing a one-time contribution, I have links to PayPal in the About page of the YouTube channel. And about the fundraiser for the car. So I'm incredibly grateful that you guys helped me out when I really needed it. So the car is fixed. Well, there are more things that need to be fixed on the car, but it's running. And I'm incredibly grateful for you because I was down bad when you guys contributed and helped me get that situation solved. So incredibly grateful for that. Incredibly grateful for all the people who contributed in any other way before that through Patreon and all those different ways. But I will be closing that GoFundMe for the to fix the car. But I will have all those other links available to you guys, and I'm going to try to put it in the description box for in the videos, so you guys don't have to go to the About page on the YouTube channel. It'll just be right there in the video. All you do is press the arrow. There's a reason why I don't do that, but I'm gonna try again. And also I'm gonna started a GoFundMe for equipment for the show because, as you guys can tell, we're a little technically challenged over here. I've heard all the complaints. I've heard all the complaints about the lighting. I've heard the complaints about the sound and the audio. I understand all those things, and really, I need to upgrade my equipment. I need laptops. I need lights because I have a microphone. I just can't connect the microphone and the camera to it's a whole thing. But I'll set up the GoFundMe if you guys can help me out with that. I can improve the quality of the show, and I'm sure you all will be very happy with that. So incredibly grateful for the way you guys have helped support the show. But so now I'm going to get back into the story. So AOC takes the money that the hard-earned money that you all gave to her to fight the establishment, and she's using that to fund establishment candidates. So, and on top of that, she's giving money to these corporate Democrats who are actively opposed to our policy agenda. Make that make sense to me. You're going to give money to people. You took money running on Medicare for All, running for UBI, and running on all those other important left policies, radical climate action. You took money running on all those things from regular working class people. And then you're going to give it to people who are going to be an obstacle to those policies. How does that make sense? She's giving money to people who are actively opposed to Medicare for All. Just a couple weeks ago, were actively shitting on left policies like Medicare for All and saying that's why Democrats lost seat in the House. And then AOC is going to turn around and give those same corporate Democrats your fucking money. That's unbelievable to me. So if you're giving money to the Justice Democrats, you're funding your oppressors. There's no two ways about it. You give them your money, and they'll turn around and give it to people who are going to make sure that the policies that you need, the policies that you want, make sure that they don't ever come to pass. And another part about this that is is ridiculous is the fact that it's not even like she has the option. You guys already know how I feel about electoral politics. You already know how I feel about running the Democratic Party. She's not even, so these are vulnerable Democrats who are at risk of losing their seats. And instead of capitalizing on that opportunity to fund left-wing insurgent candidates like herself, who was running against Joe Crowley, and instead of doing that, she's going to take that money and bolster the Democratic establishment. Make it so that she's going to try to secure their seats for them. So again, I don't know how all of her actions, they contradict what she claims to be, this movement that she claims to be leading. If your main objective was electorally, like the strategy is supposed to be electorally, we're gonna get enough progressives, we're gonna run these corporate Democrats out of town, and then we'll pass our agenda. If that's the framework that you are operating from, and that's the way you view everything when you're in Congress, then you would see the 35 Democrats at risk of losing their seats. You would see that as a major opportunity to get some insurgents in that agree with you, right? So then why is it she's propping them up? Why is she making it so that why is she securing their seats for them? Because she's a team player. She's a loyal team player for the Democratic Party. She's a partisan hack for the Democratic Party. And she isn't really concerned about So that's the thing. So even though that strategy is a failure, it hasn't worked, hasn't produced any results, and this magical, ever-shifting timeline about when we'll get Medicare for All, it keeps on moving. So the strategy up by itself is a failure. But she claims, and everybody who's defending her claims she's committed to it, and claims that she's hell-bent on running them out and replacing them with uncorrupted progressives. But she's doing the exact opposite. So she's not even committed to the shitty strategy, the failed strategy that she pretended to be. And then another, just a funny part about this whole thing is, some of the corporate Democrats who got the money from AOC, they don't even want the money from AOC. They don't want the money because they don't want to make it seem as if they're allied with her. So some of them were calling up the DCCC because the filing deadline was a couple days ago. So every quarter you file with the FEC, the Federal Election Committee or Commission, and you file how much money you've raised and exactly where it came from, and then they make that data public. So they got the money from AOC, but they don't want to be seen having any connection. So they called up the DCCC and they're like, so how do we send this money back? Should we send this money back? Because they're afraid of Republicans saying, oh, look at you. You're allied with the far left radical AOC. So that's another whole other part about this dynamic with these Justice Democrats. They are so pathetic that they will continue to prostrate themselves to this Democratic Party, to the establishment that wants nothing to do with them, that kicks them in the teeth at every opportunity, that smears them, maligns them at every opportunity. But they're so subservient to the leadership and to the establishment that they don't care, that they're just so desperate to be part of the club, to be welcomed into the Democratic Party, that she would do something like this, and they would still be like, fuck you, I don't want anything to do with you, take your money back. Imagine that. Imagine politicians who spend most of their day begging corporations for money. They get money handed to them by AOC, and they're still like, I don't give a fuck you, take your money back. When was the last time they said that to like some health insurance company that was against Medicare for all? When was the last time they said, nah, fuck it, take your money back? When was the last time they said it to some fossil fuel industry, that was giving them money and so that they could look the other way while they pollute and they destroy the planet? When was the last time they said, you know what, fuck you, keep your money? No, these are all corporate Democrats who all bathe in the corruption and bathe in the money in politics. And they're so ideologically committed to being against the left and against left policies that even when the left, or not the left, even when somebody who is portrayed as the leader of the left is helping them out, they still won't do it because they're so ideologically committed to shit on the left. And they're still, these Justice Democrats, they refuse to accept this. And they keep portraying this myth. Oh, if we just work together with the rest of the Democrats, they're going to give us what we want. If we just do everything that they want, then maybe a couple of years from now, they'll feel some type of way like, wow, AOC, Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders, they were really good soldiers. They were really good team players for the Democratic Party. I might give them Medicare for all. Like, that's what they act like, and that is so far from reality. And so, here's the thing. Anybody who is still telling you that these Justice Democrats are your ally, anybody who's still telling you AOC is your ally, you should not trust them. They have their own reasons, they have their own biases, and I can't speak for every single person, but there is something there why they are so hell-bent. Maybe it's just personal connections, but they are so hell-bent on covering up for these Justice Democrats, covering up for AOC, that if they see this story and they still tell you have to donate to them and support them, I don't know what to tell you. You can't trust them. They are not to be trusted. At least on this issue, they are not to be trusted. They're going to take your money and give it to the opposition. Unbelievable. So stop donating to these politicians, and I've been saying that for months now. Do not give another penny to these politicians, because we're not going to solve our problems through electoral politics. So all the money that, if you might as well just shovel that shit into a furnace, into a fire, because it will not result in, it will not produce any results. It will not get us any closer to the policies that we need. It won't get us closer to Medicare for all. It won't get us closer to UBI. It won't get us closer to rent and mortgage cancellation. It won't. All you're doing is advancing their own career and their own personal agenda, and you're not doing anything to help yourself or anything to help the movement. So if you have money to spare, that you donate to left new media. You donate to independent media who's out there doing on the ground reporting, people who are in their studios telling you the truth about what's happening that you're not going to get anywhere else. You donate to them, because that's those are people still fighting for the movement. If you have money and you're willing to donate, go find some mutual aid. Go find some hungry people, some homeless people, people who need some type of medical treatment, and you donate your money to them. But don't donate to any of these politicians. I'm telling you that. Please do not donate to any of these politicians. They will take your money and they will run off with it. They'll get elected, like Nina Turner's about to, and they won't do a goddamn thing for you. They'll get elected, like AOC, and she'll take $160,000 and give it to corporate Democrats. $160,000. Imagine that $160,000 went to some sort of mutual aid to feed people, keep people's utilities on, to keep people in their houses. That money was wasted, it was burned, and she took it and gave it to the opposition, who's making sure that we don't ever get those policies that we need, that we're fighting for. That's how that $160,000 was spent. Slap in the face to everybody in the movement. And the only politicians that I'm willing, I'm that person, I'm just going to keep it real with you, I'm not donating any politician. But the only politician where I would be open to people making an exception to that rule would be politicians that are actively organizing mutual aid to help the community, or actively organizing protests and strikes or any form of direct action. Those are the only politicians who you should even consider supporting financially or volunteering for. Otherwise, just take all of that energy and put it towards direct action, put it towards mutual aid, because that is where that's the only place real results are going to come from. So, what is left to say? What is left to say? Not only are they not going to fight them at any time it matters, they're going to take the resources, the limited resources of the movement, and use that to fund the corporate Democrats. That's what they're going to do.